understand the difference between the chush of re'iyah and the chush of shmiyah and the chush of reach. And we say seeing is believing, but it's not necessarily so. Your eyes can deceive you. You can mishear things, but what you smell is emes. And that's the Yitzchak's smelling of the begodim of Esav, the bigdei chamutos. He was able to smell in Esav the bigdei chamutos, meaning vayarach es reach begodav, that he smelled those begodim. And vayarach, the Gemara learns that what did he smell that he was so excited about? He smelled the reach boigdav, which is ironic. He should have smelled reach Gan Eden. That's how the Gemara should have darshaned it, because there was a reach Gan Eden came in with him. But vayarach, when he held it closer, vayarach is reach boigdav. So what he was able to smell was in the boigdav gufa was the reach of Gan Eden. So a very, very deep look into a person gives you this reich of Gan Eden. So let's get back now to
deep smell. Deep smell.
Yeah, a deep smell. Smell is not a function of the I'm sure is a function of the brain, but it's not a function of the brain alone. It's called neshama. It's called neshama neshima. When you breathe something in, it's a function of the neshama also. Ezu ha'nosh ha'neshama nenos boizes. Okay, we're coming to a new yesod here. Next step. V'yadu atam, it's well known. Hashem tzilcha al yad yaminecha. Hashem tzilcha al yad yaminecha is a pasuk in Tehillim, and the pasuk simply states that Hashem tzilcha, Hashem is the Lord is your shadow. And the simple understanding of the pasuk of Hashem tzilcha is that Hashem is protecting you. There's the sun. A person can't stand being without any type of protection. But Hashem tzilcha, Hashem is your umbrella. Hashem is your sail, your shadow. Interestingly, pointed this out many times, the Baal Shem Tov, or Chai Volozhin on the other side, the Ben Ish Chai on the third side, it really comes earlier. The Avodas HaKodesh, but it comes earlier even from the Sefer Yetzirah, that the diktuk of Hashem Tzilcha is a little bit different, because Hashem Tzilcha is Hashem is your shadow. It's not that He's your shade. He's your shadow. So the shade is so the normal translation of Hashem being your protector is inaccurate even from a diktuk point of view, which is why everybody jumped on this. And Hashem tzilcha, Hashem is your shadow, meaning that the shadow is something which emanates from us, not which emanates from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We create our shadow. So what does it mean that Hashem is our shadow? So it's al derech, like in the mental health world, if you're shadowing somebody. So shadowing somebody means that whatever you do, I'm doing with you. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that I will shadow you. Not I will shade you, but I will shadow you. I will kaviyachol, whatever this means. But it means a lot, because it seems to be the way the whole world works. According to all the disciplines, the Hasidim, the Misnagdim, everybody seems to subscribe to this idea that Hashem shadows us, meaning that, like the Baal Shem Tov's lashon is, l'mashal kisha'adam magbiya es yadoi hayimini, just like when a person picks up his right hand, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's, your shadow, his right hand goes up also. So Hashem tzilcha al yad yaminecha, Hashem will mimic our actions. This turns around the whole power structure in a very, very, to be a bit of a frightening way, actually. But the good news is that if we, let's say, give tzedakah, so al yad yaminecha, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give tzedakah. This would be the keneged midah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is deciding, let's put it this way, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is deciding how to run the world based on the actions of man, both on a micro and on a macro level. So Hashem tzilcha al yad yaminecha means to say that you can force a situation. A person can, like the way to the way to have HaKadosh Baruch Hu do happy things for us is by being the simcha. Aser, Shlita says. Anytime brings the business point. But the truth is, like, if you're no hey ka'ashir, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you ashiras. Why that is, we need to discover. But let's assume for a second doing this. The reason why I said it makes me a little bit uncomfortable, though it's clear in all the svarm, is that there's a sugya on the side here, which I might have mentioned last week, and that's the sugya of Bechira Chavshus. Can the concept of Bechira Chavshus override the Ratzon Hashem? Meaning, if I want to kill somebody, can I kill that person if he's not Chayiv Misa? Because of my Bechira Chavshus, it's very difficult to say that's true. Obviously, every bullet has its address. So Hashem Tzilcha, though, does tell us, l'chora, that a person can manipulate the Bria in such a way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, meaning He who runs the whole world, is Tzilcha, it goes with us. So I think that right, do you understand the problem with this? There's a problem here.
Hashgacha Protis, where is that?
Or Hashgacha Protis.
Right.
What is Hashgacha Protis
Exactly.
according to us? Okay, it could be Hashgacha Protis according to our actions.
It's a little bit back to the Lo Bashamayim, you know?
Lo Bashamayim, right.
It's a little...
Right. No, but Rabbi Eliezer says, like, how does Hashgacha Protis work? So it's not a kasha how Hashgacha Protis works. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is clearly running the show. But how is He running the show? Based on our actions. So we know that's true. We know that's true. All we're saying is that it's not just, did you do it a mitzvah or did you do it avera? It's not just that, but are you besimcha, or are you wealthy, or are you poor, or are you? What's your matzav? So that's the kli that we make. So I think the proper way. I just want to go back to basics, which was not so basic here, just to understand what we're talking about. Because what we're talking about here is, it's nice. People like to hear that Hashem Tzilcha, yeah, but it's not. It has to be philosophically tenable in order for us to be Makabbalah. But what we learned, and this brings us right to what we're talking about right here, what we have learned until now is that there is an Isarusa de la Eila and there is an Isarusa de la Sata. So these are two energies which comprise a circle. And a circle, as you know, does not begin and end anywhere. A circle is a circle, it keeps on going. HaKadosh Baruch Hu made this circle. He could design the world any way He wants, but He made the circle. And the way the circle works is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings us the Bria, presents to us, here's your Bria, here's the world. I'm giving you friends, I'm giving you community, I'm giving you houses and grass and farm and cows and everything. I'm giving you everything you need. What are you going to do with it? So now, that's the Yisarusa de la Eila, Sheishis Yavim, of Sheishis Yavim Ma'aseh of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, where He created the whole world. Now it's in our hands. What are we going to do with it? And it's our job to take that's the Yisarusa de la Sata, make a tikkun olam with that, and send it back up for more. And that's the circle where we are here on the bottom of the circle. We're learning now the Shabbos is naturally the bottom of the circle, because Sheishis Yavim Tasav Lachtan of the Yom Hashvi, Lashem Elokecha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu made the world in 6 days, and on the seventh day He rested, so to speak, for making the world, and gave it to us. It's natural, it's obvious that Shabbos is our day. To take that which HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us in our lives, in our world, and make a tikkun from it. That Hashem Tzilcha, just for this idea, that Hashem Tzilcha means that once HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world of Yisarusa de la Eila, so now our Yisarusa de la Sata takes over. And if we evaporate tikkun into this world, so then again, it's like a rain cycle. I've explained many times. It's like the rain cycle. Just like the rain, the first rain came from where? Up or down? Down, Rashi says, right? Rashi tells us, the Shev Chazal, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't make it rain until man was there to pray for it. So we were mispalel for Geshem, lahibtir. HaKadosh Baruch Hu al ha'aretz, until there was a man around to benefit, to do some kind of a tikkun with it. And without that mutter, nothing is happening in the world. We're not living, the plants aren't living, nothing is growing. So he created, basically it was like a picture of the world. You're going to turn it on, rain. That's turning on the switch. That needed Isar. It actually starts with Isarusa de Lasata. Starts with Isarusa de Lasata. Hafla v'fela. The rain, in other words, the actual activation of the world actually starts with Isarusa de Lasata. It's about him. It's amazing. So if it starts with Isarusa de Lasata, now we're evaporating. We're taking this. We're evaporating our tefillos. We're evaporating everything that we have into the world of Shabbat. Now even better stuff is coming down. If we do bad, so we get acid rain. So the rain cycle is such that it starts from Aretz. It's a circle, but the circle actually starts from the Aretz, evaporates to the Shabbat, to the clouds, let's say, comes down again, and what's going up is coming down. It's as good as what we're putting up, as that's what's coming down. So we understand how the world works. So now let's fit into this Hashem Tzilcha Al Yad Yibidecha. But Baruch was saying, I'm only going to send down what you sent up. It starts with you. If it starts with you, Ba'aretz, your tefillos, your tikkun, the mitzvahs that you're doing, the chesed that you're doing, or Lo Yaleinu, Rahman al-Islam, the bad that we're doing, it starts with you. So Bechira Chavshitz is not weakened, it's strengthened in that sense. But it's not. It's still nothing can happen without a Kadosh Baruch Hu going through the filter of a Kadosh Baruch Hu here. So Hashem Tzilcha Yad Yivinecha means that we are taking whatever we're doing in this world is going up to the Shemaim through the Erlamas, through Asiya, through Yitzira, through Bria, up to Atzilus, up to the Kisei HaKavod, and then we're going Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, Asiya. Hence the cycle of what we're doing. And by the way, I've mentioned many times that the whole tefillah is based on this idea. If you watch tefillah, it starts with down, asiya, making the brachas, open up my eyes, give me food, give me clothing. We're starting with the same, with the most basic needs of life, and we're working all the way up to the world of Atzilus and Shemona Esrei. Elokeinu v'Elokeinu v'Seinu. The Kabbalah and the Sidur of the Kabbalah, it says right on top of the page, where Asiya, Yitzira, Bria, Atzilus. It's very clear that that's the avodas of tefillah. And then after Shemona Esrei, we actually go down for a landing. If you go through the same, like Ashrei V'Elazim, you're going back to Psukei de Zimra. Zmiros are in the world of Yitzira, etc. I don't want to go to tefillah right now, but the whole structure of tefillah is based on this cycle. So just what I want to understand is the Hashem Tzilcha Al Yad Yiminecha is to understand HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, that's what this pasuk in Tehillim was teaching. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying how important it is of everything you do with the raw material that I'm giving you.
How is this different from the Darsha Adam Rotzalel and Hashemaim Aleikum and stuff?
Why is it different?
Is it different?
Oh, everything's the same.
Because it says Molichim Oso, but Tzilcha is mashma that you're pushing, whereas Molichim Oso is mashma
very, very meduyak. Meaning like never should we understand that Bechira Chavshis. See, I just can't stand it when people say this. It's just like I have an allergy to people saying that it's all about your decisions. Why did you do poorly in business? Because you didn't make the right decisions. So absenting a Kadosh Baruch Hu from this equation altogether. Is that what Bechira Chavshis means? And what about is that what Bechira Chavshis means? That everything is because, why do bad things happen to good people? Because good people make bad choices. There is such a line of thinking that you hear even in seminaries. And it can't be emes. Because even if a person makes a bad decision and walks in front of a car, God forbid, and dies, or takes a walk in Ramallah, or does something else, or jumps out of an airplane, the Meshuggah. So thinking, okay, but I'll get a lot of money from Red Bull. Even if you make a stupid decision, whether you're going to live or whether you're going to die is min hashamayim. So why? Because, okay, you've done something, let's say even we've done something on the bottom of the circle which makes no sense at all. A big error. So we're evaporating error. Hashem silcha yad midacha. Here we have a situation where this tail can walk in the other direction. It sounds like one of those cartoons, where you're walking this way and your shadow's walking the other way. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the ultimate Baal Bechira. V'haraya, even if somebody would walk in front of a car, and God forbid die, do we say Tziduk Hadin on this person, in the Beis HaKfaros? Do we say Kel Emunah Ve'ein Havel? Or do we say, no, it was that person? Stupid, I'm not saying Tziduk Hadin. What's it going to do with the din? We're changing that halacha? There's no more Kel Emunah Ve'ein Havel. Can't be.
Since Hashem says he was nenish because he put himself in sakana.
Okay.
So it's a din.
Meaning that there's a toggle up there. Like we can't take HaKadosh Baruch Hu out of the equation. So Hashem Silcha Yad Yaminacha tells us the power of our actions, but Chizkiyahu, Melech Yehuda said had the chutzpah to say to Yeshayahu Hanavi that Afilu Charav Chada Burachas Al Savar Shaladav Al Tishayish B'Narachim. Yeshaya told him it's all over, Chizkiyahu. Beis Valtichya. And Chizkiyahu said, Kala Nevuascha. Your nevuah is over. There's only so much that's working at din. I can walk into the world of Rachamim. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there's always a place of Rachamim, and that's why there's always Tziduk Hadin. See, the emphasis that
it's plain old. It's not just the Rachamim. You can do anything right. The operations see the patient, was a successful patient died. There's other reasons why, despite your good efforts, you'll go
in both directions. There's a Kadosh Baruch Hu here, but we should know a yesod of Hashem Tzilcha Yad Yividecha. See, I once heard opposite of what I'm saying, but at least with a gadol. I once heard Rabbi Yaakov Weinberg say that there's so much that's dependent on our Bechira Chafshus. When he said this, it shook me up actually, because he said, people say, where was God during the Holocaust? And I would never discuss this because I don't know what I'm talking about. Where was God during the Holocaust? Does he check in with me? I don't know where he was during the Holocaust. So he said that. He said, look, in 19, look, he lived through this. In 1934 and 1935, people were told to leave, and they didn't leave. There was a Makom Sakana, and they didn't leave, many for bad reasons. So we can turn around and blame God now? Harsh. It's a harsh statement, and it's the power of Bechira Chafshus. But all that means is that Hadmishkin Tainas. That's all it means. How could you have Tainas on a Kadosh Baruch Hu that you died if you walked in front of a car? But that doesn't mean it's amaratzis to take it to the next step and say that it's not Midah Shamayim that I was killed by this. Right? Do you hear what I'm saying? Am I saying something logical? It's two dinim. One din is that, okay, don't have Tainas. You did. Person smokes 2 packs a day. You're gonna get sick. And you can't say like, oh, everybody said, why'd you make me sick? Savior, you chose to be sick. That was your choice. You chose a lifestyle of being sick. You chose a lifestyle where you're compromising your longevity. That's what you did. You did. It doesn't mean though that person dies. It's al tishayis min arachamim. Chizkiyahu also chose a lifestyle which was a dangerous lifestyle. There is still rachamim. There is still a Kadosh Baruch Hu in this picture. So I think what we need to understand is, yes, Hashem tzilcha yad yiminach, but it's Hashem tzilcha yad yiminach. Save chosayv, everything is the Ratzon Hashem. And I believe, by the way, that if you look at the Derech Hashem, it's exactly this problem that he's struggling with in Chelik Beis of Derech Hashem. It's exactly this nekuda of the struggle of what's ours, what's his, and what's the malachim, and what's the teva, and what's the kechavim, and what's all of the different mareches that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made in this world. And whatever it is, ein mazel Yisrael. All of that teva is ein mazel Yisrael. So l'chol ha'bachus for Klal Yisrael, there is still HaKadosh Baruch Hu. God is still alive and well. Yeah.
With this rachamim, it's also a nace. You hear all the time, guys smoke 2 packs a day and he lived to 107.
And ain't soimchen ala nace.
Is that
Yes.
is rachamim nace?
Yes. A nace means that something which is outside of teva. Rachamim is outside of din. Din is teva. So it's a dukach. The Ramchal says like this: that what does it mean? Ein somchen ala nace. Ein somchen ala nace means that you can't be somech on the Rachmei Hashem. I can't go jump off a 50-story building and say, look, if it's my time, it's my time, and if it's not, it's not. It doesn't make any difference. Why? Because why? Let's be very careful here. Not because it's stupid. What's stupid about it? He's right. If it's my time, it's my time. It's not my time, it's not my time.
You're making it your time.
You're making it.
Because, says the Ramchal, deeper than that. How do you make it your time? Hashem tzilcha. Says the Ramchal, that is there anybody here that is so sure of their life that they can know that al pi din I'll be saved? And enochanami, that every bullet has its address, and the address is not me, al pi din it's not me. Maybe al pi din it is you. Maybe the bullet is aimed for you. Maybe you're walking through Ramallah right now. Maybe you're going to get hurt. God forbid. So who can say that? So Elamai, you're going to be Sobach Haladeis, means that I'm putting myself in a makom of din, and miyamei l'fanecha badin. Every time, the Gemara says this. The Gemara, you don't need any sifrei machshava for this. Ein l'cha dvarim shemaskirin avonosav shel adam. There is nothing which brings out the avonos of a person. Kavai kir natzuig. U'makom sakana. As if you're walking under a wall that's about to fall. You got to be very, very sure of yourself and your ruchnius. You don't have to check so much the integrity of the wall as you have to check the integrity of your soul. Am I really zoche that this wall should not follow me? Maybe it's always in it should follow me. So ain't somchen alanas. How do you know you can be zoche?
Probably would have run anyway. But if I wasn't zoche, then you should follow me.
That's right.
So
the answer is there's a rachamim of Hashem, but you're not allowed to be somachan. What you are allowed to be somachan is shomer psoyim Hashem. That if you don't know walls are falling down, and you don't know, there was a time not so long ago, maybe just a little bit before, when I was a kid, that the doctors were prescribing cigarettes.
It's good for digestion.
Good for digestion. Sapnei Yeshua and Prabhu Basra. It's good for digestion. Probably still good for digestion. The only problem is it kills you. I think it's technical. Like, a lot of things would be very healthy if it wasn't dangerous. Think about that for a while. It's probably very invigorating to jump off a building. It's like those 2 minutes of the fall. It's wonderful.
Gives you lifetime energy. Lifetime energy.
Drink Red Bull. But the point is this. The point I'm making is that, see, even the Ramchal has a list. Just an important nakuda. The Ramchal has a list of things which you should be careful about. One of them is ayin hara. What's that? As my mother used to call it kanahara. But what is that? Like, I'm doing well. I'm doing business. I'm davening. I'm doing all the different things that I'm supposed to be doing. I'm doing it well. I'm doing it with a price. I got to worry that some old lady someplace is going to give me an ayin hara. Poo. This is helping, like my chamsas are what? So says the Ramchal, and it's even more clear in the Maral Miprag, that ayin hara is the pshat that there's a beautiful default arrangement that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has of rachamim with the Bria. Breishis bar elikim, he wanted to create the world with midas hadin, but he switched midas harachim. And Shita b'imay at least midas harachim. We have this beautiful arrangement of rachim. But Baruch Hu's not so medaktik on us. Baruch Hashem, not so medaktik on us. But if somebody brings out a certain din, why does Shmilik deserve to be driving a BMW. He's no tzaddik. Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu give him a BMW? So now there's like a pseudin, Hashem Tzilcha, Al Yad Yaminecha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu listens to people, that's also part of it, and he will make a din on this person. Do you deserve the BMW? Do you not? Crash, there goes the car.
Why did he get in the first place?
Rachamim. Rachamim, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world with Midas Rachamim.
So that's the
So
way
it should continue. Why should
It should continue, but there's a din. Oh, see, right? There's a din that if a person is ma'or dinim, there's a din. That's part of the bria. I'll go with rachamim, but I'm giving a lot of power to the people here. And if the people here are going to give an ayin hara hainu, they're going to bring this out in din. So then I'm going to have to reconcile with that din. Same thing is al tiftach pelusam. Same thing is there yimei din. Arba prakim ha'olam nidai. The Ramchal has a list. A person is b'shas b'makom sakana. These are all places where you're testing the rachamim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The thing is like this, it just reminds me, like I remember years ago I came from Australia, so from Australia, I was flying from Australia to the United States. I was like really tired, so I wanted to go business class. So there was this guy who had big Protexia. Everything's Protexia. I started calling it Protexica. This is it's like words. He said to me, like, he'll organize it for me. He'll organize the business class ticket for me all the way through. But you have to understand, like, when you go, just tell them your name, mention my name, don't say a word. Like, don't ask any questions. Don't say, like, are you sure this is business class? What ticket? Just shtum, right? So my whole, like, just stand over there, sir. Okay, why should I get? Don't ask any questions, and you're okay. The minute you ask a question, well, in a Hanabi, you didn't pay for a business class. Like, what are you doing there? So, like, so like Klal Yisrael came to Mitzrayim, Moshe Rabbeinu started to talk, and David, this and that. Take the people, va'atem tachrishim, just right, quiet. Mum's the word. Don't say anything, because when you say something, you're ma'aridin. Al tiftach pe'elosan. You're ma'aridin. It's a davar pashut.
So going to the Hashgacha, the people who give the INR, if it's Hashem Tzilcha, they should be getting it back too, since they're reaching out.
Maybe there. Who says you don't get a great star for giving it INR?
That's what says.
That's as bad to give an INR as to get an INR.
That's what says it's an onesh because you're ma'arer kina by being too showy. So that's a tefillah. So the person who's makana is like mispalo. But why should they be able to touch him? Because you ma'arer. That's your liability.
So it's a little bit the same thing. I'm not sure if it's legally the same thing, but I know the Maral says that the pshat in Ayin Har, like if you take it deeper, the pshat in Ayin Har is, as the Maral is, there's no such thing as a tefillah that's not answered. Even if it's a tefillah you don't even know you're davening. So if there's a tefillah deep in my heart, then you really shouldn't be so successful. It gets on my nerves that you're successful. If there's an Ayin Hara, except I can't forgive that another person is successful, so that tefillah is also answered. Why is it answered? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu, part of the Chukei Shemayim Va'aretz is HaKadosh Baruch Hu answers tefillahs. So there are a number of things which are testing this Shlita imay midas harachim, because they didn't get rid of midas hadin. Ratz HaKadosh Baruch Hu libra yisrael midas hadin. The Shlita imay midas harachim, you put a rachamim component as an add-on to the din. But if somebody's ma'ar din, al tiftach pelusam.
In all these things, we're saying HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows you were going to give an INR. He knows you were going to run into the car. You're
opening up another Pandora's box. So but it's not necessary, because what we're saying here is something very simple. In this whole circle that I was describing, we're saying that on the one hand, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of course, is in charge of everything. It's midas hadin. This is, I believe, the correct Hashgacha to look at this. Everything's midas shamayim. But that doesn't mean that, just because everything's midas shamayim, that doesn't mean that I deserve everything that I'm getting. So because there's a rachamim component to this world. So it could be I'm enjoying a lot of things that I don't necessarily deserve al pidin, to enjoy. So what's the Hashgacha when you're enjoying something with Rachamim that you don't necessarily deserve? Keep quiet. And tell everybody else to keep quiet also. And don't flaunt it. Because if you flaunt it, you're going to be more din. You don't flaunt what you don't necessarily rightfully own. Look, there are people that we thought were unfallable, if that's a word. And they're in jail, or committed suicide, or they went poor. It happens all the time, every day. And people growing up, like Rockefeller was a rock. He might still be, but I mean, there's so many other people that. Just remember, every person over the age 50, when I was a kid, whenever you asked them for money, who do you think I am, Rockefeller? Nothing is, who knows what HaKadosh Baruch Hu's dinim are as to who should be wealthy and who should be poor and who should be healthy and who should be happy and who should have good kids and who shouldn't have good kids and who should be married happily and be Odea, like who knows the thing and who, what is it, Tafket Tzadikim? That have all these good things? For sure not. So Kadosh Baruch Hu has the cheshbonis. Don't push it. Don't test it. That's what it means. So Hashem Tzilcha Yad Yaminecha, to get back to the point, is that there's a tremendous amount of koach in the Adam. Why? Because you're testing the Rachamim. And you're bringing it to a place of din. So could it be, as Rabbi Yaakov Weinberg said, could it be that people make bad decisions and therefore tested the Rachamim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we had horrible results historically? Could be. If he says so, he's an gadol. If he says so, I've taken it. But that doesn't mean at all, he was a man of perfect faith. So that doesn't mean at all that we're absenting HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Adrab, we're saying you're changing things from HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the Lashon of Chazal, is moving from Kisei HaRachamim to Kisei HaDin. That's what it says happens on Rosh Hashanah. It's more din-like right now. Be very careful. You're in the Paltrin Shomelech. There's more din, by the way, in Eretz Yisrael than there is in Chutz La'aretz. Why? It's Paltrin Shomelech.
Yeah.
Now there's also more Hashgacha Protis. Unbelievable, the Hashgacha Protis. I mean, anybody who thinks about it can't deny.
Is it related to each other?
Of course it's related to each other, because you're closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's more of the original intention of the Bria, but you got to behave over here. You got to behave. If somebody can't behave, you should leave Eretz Yisrael. It's a pal for their own good. It's a paltrin shamela. It's like a shul. Rabbi Lapian came to Eretz Yisrael, like he had a throat condition, and that he would always have, like for the rest of his life, he would never spit on the ground in Eretz Yisrael. Makom Kaddish. So you're in a paltrin shavela. So the Hashgacha Protis is burdik, and closeness to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is unbelievable. Your tefillah, you're right there. It's a local call. So everything is fantastic, but there's din. You're a little bit. You're walking out of the Rachamim. So the Meraglim, we're worried about this. For instance, the Meraglim, we're worried about this. This is a different kind of Hanhaga with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's no clouds, and it's a little bit more. It's ironic that here in the Makom Kadosh, all of those miracles of the Midbar didn't happen because there's more din here. That's why we should be zealous to Besaris Tov. So this is what I want to be bavar, that Hashem Tzilcha Yad Yaminecha, which is the very, very deep understanding of Bechira Chavshis, speaks about the human participation in the din, but it doesn't create the din. Any more than in the whole rain cycle that I described earlier, do we create the rain. We participate, and what we evaporate up, we comes down. So this is the koach of Isarusa de Lasata. So let's just learn a couple of lines here. Yodu atam Hashem Tzilcha shu kamo hatzel she'oseh ma she'adam oseh. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing based on what we're doing. Ubi Isarusa de Lasata, and based on the Isarusa de Lasata, Itoer la'ela, there is an awakening above the whole ha'pa'ulai sha'adam oiseh V'akol holech acher kavanos halev. What's kavanos halev have to do with this? That we're talking about Hashem tzilcha yad yiminecha is only out of ma'isa that I mean to be doing. So to understand, to sum up everything that I just said, to understand Bechira Chavshis from a sort of a rational point of view, without the Kabbalistic input, I believe leaves it somewhat empty, because all the philosophers are dealing with this. But come the Mekubalim, and they tell us, look, it's very simple. Yisarusa d'Lasati, Yisarusa d'Leila. Without Kabbalah, it's very complicated. V'Hashem Yisbarach. So here we go. Hashem Yisbarach Meiriach Gam Kein B'Leil Shabbos Hareach Tov. Remember we learned how Shimon Bar Yochai came out of the Ba'ara and he sees the Saba running with two Hadassim, Echad Keneged Shamar, Echad Keneged Zachar, two things that you smell. What are you smelling on Erev Shabbos? Smelling the Sheishis Yemei Ma'isa coming. You're smelling. You're taking in. Like smelling is the metaphor for taking it all in. I'm taking it in deep, not just my eyes, which is kind of like making a rosham on my brain, and not just my ears, but I'm actually taking it in. So if I take in this Sheishis Yemei Ma'isa, now the question is, what am I going to exhale? So inhaling and exhaling, there is no concept with hearing, is there? You don't. You don't give out.
You don't give out something.
Nothing's going out. It's just.
It's receptive. Strictly receptive.
It's all receiving.
Yeah. Same with the eyes. Same with the mouth.
But here you say right.
Same with all that.
I mean, there's this monkey see, monkey do. But it's not deep, right? So what I'm accepting into myself, that's the rest.
The sense that you're infusing it within yourself.
Within myself, I'm internalizing it.
Right,
Internalizing it. And then what am I giving out? So that's what's happening on Erev Shabbos. The Reach of Erev Shabbos, which we're not so bakbid on, is to take in the Reach of the week, be Mekadosh it, and then to exhale. The Reach of Motzei Shabbos, everyone makes a very great episode, as Rav Tzadok so beautifully pointed out, you make it even before Havdalah. Havdalah is Hamavdal Ben Kodesh L'chol.
Can we say where the Reach on Erev Shabbos is to kind of to bring the Shabbos early?
Beseder. In other words, we're ending but it's a Reach of the week combined with Shabbos. So what's happening is the Yisarusa D'Leila, which is the Sheishis Yali Tassim Lachtecha, is being internalized at the bottom of the circle, worked with the whole Shabbos, and then we take a final Reach of Shabbos before we send it up to keep some of that Shabbos over here. So the Reach refers very, very clearly to the human participation in the Bria. Not in Shabbos, in the Bria. Shabbos is about the Bria. And while we're doing that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing the same thing up on top. Kiviyachol. So the Hashem Tzilcha Yad Yiminecha means HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing the same thing. So what's he doing? On Erev Shabbos, Sheishis Yom Tassim Lachtecha, he's taking all of our malacha and taking it in Kiviyachol and then putting it back into the world. So what's happening on the two sides of the oval is our Reach and HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Reach. So we have such a beautiful Reach, being not just seeing, not just looking, but the very, very deep inhale of internalization of everything that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did for us and what we're giving back in Isarusa D'Lasata, everything that people did in this world in Tikkun Olam, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving it back in Isarusa D'Leila. That's you have the circle of the world. Hashem Tzilcha Yad Minachah. Exactly to the degree that we're doing it, that's how HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing it. We have Bechira Chavshis on a very, very deep level.
It's like a dance.
It's very much like a dance.
Yeah.
It's a very good example.
Yeah.
What about Reach and
Movements
Korbanos?
have to be perfectly compatible.
Right.
When he's Reach and Korbanos, what's going on?
That's exactly what we're saying, meaning that we're giving off a Reach Nechayach. So what's happening over here is that we're taking something, we're giving something out. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is by Yorach as Reach and Nechayach. Yorach is Reach and Nechayach. He's taking us and he's internalizing it in the same place that we're doing See, the Gemara says something like Kohanim, Shluchei D'Rachmana v'Shluchei D'Dan. Or it has a machlokes, whether they're Shluchei D'Rachmana or Shluchei D'Dan. So the Gemara says it both are evidence. That they're Shluchei D'Rachmana, the Kohanim are Shluchim of Hashem, and they're also Shluchim from us. So the Kohanim have two functions. The person is coming to the person who wants to bring a korban, he's coming to the Kohen. So you're Shliach D'Dan. Now let's take some gashmis, take your cow, take your sheep, take your wheat, and let's do something holy with it. That's the symbolism of the korban. So in that sense, the Kohen is a Shliach of ours. Shliach D'Dan to be Meriach, but he's also Shluchei D'Rachmana to bring the Kvod Hashem into this world. The Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur is bringing the Shekhinah into this world. So there's the Kohanim are standing on the edge of the circle, being a shliach this way and a shliach that way. Yeah, Duchani. Hashem Yisbarach Meiriach Gam Kein Belel Shabbos Hareach Toiv Shel Knesses Yisrael Shoimrei V'Zoichrei Shabbos Oilul Lefanav. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Meiriach Hareach V'chein B'Motzoi Shabbos Kodim Shenivdal Kedushas HaShabbos V'Aschol Yimei Achol. Before we separate ourselves from the Kedushas HaShabbos and we go into the Haschol Yimei Achol She'anisher Roishem Oisei Reach Toiv Gam Yimei Achol. We take a deep breath of Shabbos to keep the Shabbos with us. Unlike what everybody's always saying, that, poor me, I'm losing my Neshama Yisera. Neshama Yisera needs to be explained also, but this is not even that, to just get that final Reach of Shabbos. You have to feel Shabbos this way. Ki ba'olam hazeh ikir halos hareach toiv me'atachtonim hurach b'Shabbos. T'bay shalabata, ozu hargoshes hareach. It's pashut that all this has to happen on Shabbos. Why? Because Shabbos is the end of the Sheish Yisibei Avaisa. So Sheish Yisibei Avaisa, it's so enigmatic, because the Sheish Yisibei Avaisa we look at it as the Gashmias of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But no, that's the raw material of the Ruchnius, of our Ruchnius. It's enigmatic. The Sheishas Yom tells us, okay, love with the birds and the trades. Now let's get down to Ruchnius. That is the Ruchnius.
Ingredients. It's ingredient.
That's the ingredients, the raw material of Ruchnius. Now we're taking all of that Gashmias, we're evaporating Ruchnius. Am I going to take my money and give tzedakah? I'm going to take my lashon and speak to her, or whatever. Speak chesed, do chesed. Tikkun olam. Help do something with this world. We're like. Again, it's Mazkir. What's often mentioned is enough with this. The Ramchal says that Ein bein malachim l'bnei adam. There's really no difference between malachim and people. Although l'bnei adam yesh b'chira chavshus. People have b'chira chavshus. Malachim don't have b'chira chavshus. So let's just take a 1 minute analysis. The Reisha and the Zeifa. Ein bein malachim b'nei adam. The pshat is HaKadosh Baruch Hu created a very complex world, and we're part of it. Malachim are part of it, and Gabriel and Raphael and Metatroid, and whatever these malachim, everyone's got their jobs, and we have our job. The difference is, so we have our job. Just look at ourselves as malachim. We were here. Could be we could enjoy a little bit. Could be we could have a. Could be we could hurt a little bit, but the point is we're malachim. We're busy bees over here in this world, making the world. We're put in this world at a particular time, in a particular place, that nobody else could do what we could do at this moment. It's just what we have to do. In that sense, we're a malach. Nobody else. A malach has one task. We have what we're doing. Nobody else can do. But we have b'chira chavshus. As a very, very sophisticated part of the Olamais, we have b'chira chavshus. Malachim have no b'chira chavshus. They really don't. They're just shluchim of Hashem. So we can also be robotic, but we're not. But Baruch Hu gave us free choice. So the only difference is the Ramchal between people and malachim is that they don't have b'chira chavshus. We do have b'chira chavshus. So the b'chira chavshus makes it so much more geschmack, because now the b'chira chavshus means Hashem tzilcha yad v'necha, that we're able to do something, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu's taking what we're doing at the bottom of the food chain of creation, taking what we're doing with the creation and saying, okay, you deserve more creation. We're giving off blessing, you deserve more blessing. If you're doing everything bad, you deserve a bobble. Hence the circles of the world. Stove, you want to act like stove? I'll tell you what's going to rain down on stove. Gofris Famelis, Ray Fokolar. So it's clear. The funny thing is, I always mention about acid rain, though, is that it doesn't always fall where it went up.
I know.
Sometimes it can fall 1,000 miles away. So you got to watch it because it's all one big world over here. So sometimes it doesn't rain right back in our face.
We're all in the same boat.
But it can hurt somebody someplace else. All right, so should we use to make all the right decisions in that problem?
Right.